moving, you lazy dogs! Push harder! The Pharaoh waits for no one!
Somewhere on a mountain in the desert, a man asked God a question no human being had ever dared to ask.
Show me your glory. Let me see your face.
No one can see my face and live.
This is the story of the one man in the entire Bible who got closer to seeing God than anyone before or after him. A murderer, a fugitive, a man who stuttered when he spoke and had the audacity to argue with God to his face. By the end of this story, his own body would carry the evidence of what he saw. A light so strong, his own people couldn't look at him without covering their eyes.
We can't come near him!
Stay to the end, because the moment he finally sees what's on that mountain, it is unlike anything you've heard in this story before. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. To understand how a man ends up standing that close to God, let's go back nearly 80 years to a river, a basket, and a death sentence placed on every baby boy in a nation. 3 questions will follow this man his entire life.
Who am I? Who is with me? What must I do? I must escape from this place.
How does a condemned baby end up raised in the house of the very man who ordered his death? How does a fugitive running from his own guilt become the one person God trusts to confront the most powerful ruler on earth? And what does it actually cost a human being to stand in the presence of God and survive it? 3 questions, 1 impossible answer. Now to the beginning. It starts not with a hero, but with a baby who wasn't supposed to survive his first night. 400 years earlier, a man named Joseph had saved Egypt from famine, and in gratitude, Pharaoh gave his family land to settle.
The throne is heavy, but the responsibility is heavier. We shall serve faithfully, great Pharaoh.
But gratitude has a short memory. Generations passed, the Israelites multiplied, and a new Pharaoh looked at their numbers and saw not guests, but a threat.
Look, the people of Israel are too many and too mighty for us. If war breaks out, they'll join our enemies and fight against us.
Every son born to the Hebrews, throw him into the Nile.
Please, no, my
And
son.
so, women wailed for the fate of their sons.
Help me.
Somewhere in that terror, a woman named Jochebed gave birth to a son. For 3 months she hid him, but a hidden baby doesn't stay quiet forever.
I can't keep him silent much longer. If I keep hiding him, they'll find him, and they'll kill him where he lies. But if I let him go, maybe, just maybe, someone shows him mercy.
So she did something almost too painful to imagine. She wove a basket, sealed it with tar, placed her son inside, and set him on the very river that was supposed to kill him. His sister Miriam stood at a distance, watching, not to say goodbye, to see who would find him.
Please let it be someone kind.
It wasn't just anyone who found him. It was Pharaoh's own daughter, the household of the very man who'd ordered his death. She came down to bathe, saw the basket among the reeds, and opened it. Inside was a crying Hebrew infant, the exact kind of child her father had ordered destroyed. And instead of following the law, she felt sorry for him. Miriam, watching from the reeds, stepped forward with a question that would return this baby to his own mother's arms, now paid by the very palace that had condemned him.
Shall I go and call you a nurse from the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you? Go ahead.
So Miriam went and called the boy's own mother. Pharaoh's daughter named him Moses, drawn out, because she drew him out of the water, and she raised him in the palace as her own. For 40 years, Moses lived a double life, Egyptian by upbringing, Hebrew by blood, educated, protected, given every privilege Egypt could offer a son of the royal court. But privilege is not the same as belonging, and somewhere along the way, Moses never stopped noticing what was happening outside the palace walls. He had everything, except an answer to who he really was. And one day, that unanswered question would force its way out of him in the worst possible way. One fateful afternoon, Moses saw an Egyptian overseer beating a Hebrew slave. Something in him broke.
Let him go! Not until I'm finished with him.
I looked around. I thought no one was watching. I killed him. I buried him in the sand.
And I told myself it was justice.
But justice done in secret rarely stays secret. The next day, Moses tried to break up a fight between two Hebrews, and one of them said something that told him his secret was already out.
Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me the way you killed the Egyptian?
Moses became afraid. Pharaoh heard, and Pharaoh moved to kill him. The prince of Egypt became a fugitive from Egypt, fleeing into the wilderness of Midian with nothing. No title, no guards, no plan. He had left slavery behind only to discover he had never truly escaped it. He had simply traded one kind of bondage for another, the bondage of guilt. In Midian, Moses rebuilt a life. He defended the daughters of a priest named Jethro at a well, married one of them, Zipporah, and settled into the quiet, unremarkable work of shepherding another man's flock. 40 years passed. The prince who once walked marble palace floors now walked dust and rock, tending sheep that weren't even his. Meanwhile, in Egypt, the king who had hunted him died, but the suffering of the Israelites did not die with him. The Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out, and their cry for help went up to God. Scripture is specific here. God did not simply hear noise. He heard their groaning and remembered his covenant. He looked on the Israelites and was concerned for them. Something was about to change. Not because Moses sought it, because God had not forgotten. And on an ordinary afternoon, that forgotten fugitive was about to find out exactly what that meant for him. Moses was 80 years old, a shepherd, a husband to Zipporah, a father, a man who had made peace with an unremarkable life. It was an ordinary afternoon on Mount Horeb. Moses was doing what he had done for 40 years, watching sheep walking the same familiar ground, when he noticed something that should not have been possible. A bush was burning, and it was not burning up. Fire consumes. That is its nature. Wood becomes ash. Flame eventually starves and dies. But this fire kept burning, and the bush kept standing, untouched, unconsumed.
I have to go over and see this. Why isn't the bush burning up?
The moment he stepped toward it, a voice called out from the middle of the flame, and it did not simply summon him, it knew his name.
Moses! Do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground.
There was no altar, no temple, no priest standing by, just a shepherd, a burning bush, and holy ground in the middle of nowhere. Moses did the only thing left to do.
I hid my face. I was afraid to look at God.
Would he run the way he had run from Egypt 40 years earlier? Or would he stay and listen to what this voice wanted from him? He stayed, and the voice told him something that would rewrite the rest of his life. I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out. So now, go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people out of Egypt. You'd expect a man offered a divine mission to say yes. Moses did something almost no one expects from a Bible hero. He argued 4 times.
Who am I, that I should go to Pharaoh?
God did not answer with flattery. He answered with a promise. I will be with you. Still, Moses pressed. If he told the Israelites the God of their ancestors had sent him, what would he even call this God?
Suppose I go and they ask me your name. What should I tell them?
The answer that came back was unlike anything spoken to a human being before.
I am who I am. Tell them, I am has sent me to you.
What if they don't believe me?
God gave him signs. His staff, thrown to the ground, became a snake. His hand, tucked into his cloak, came out covered in leprosy, then whole again when he repeated the act. Still, Moses had one objection left, and it was the most human one of all.
Pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent. I am slow of speech and tongue.
The man God chose to be his spokesman to the most powerful empire on earth may have had a genuine speech impediment. God's patience, for the first time in this conversation, grew short. But even his anger came with provision. Is not Aaron your brother? He can speak well. You will speak to him, and I will help both of you speak. So a fugitive with a speech impediment and a 40-year-old murder charge picked up his staff, turned his back on the quiet life he had built, and walked toward Egypt, toward the throne he had once fled, to confront the most powerful man alive, toward a confrontation that would not go the way anyone expected. In Egypt, Moses and Aaron stood before Pharaoh with a demand that must have sounded almost laughable to a king who ruled an empire.
This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go.
Pharaoh's answer was immediate contempt.
Who is the Lord, that I should obey him and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go.
Pharaoh didn't just refuse, he punished the Israelites for asking, doubling their workload, forcing them to gather their own straw for bricks, while producing the same quota as before. The Israelite foremen, beaten for failing an impossible task, turned their fury on Moses himself.
May the Lord
look on you and judge you. You have made us obnoxious to Pharaoh and given him a sword to kill us.
Moses had walked back into Egypt expecting to be a liberator. Within days, it looked instead like he had only made things worse. Even Moses questioned God.
Why, Lord? Why have you brought trouble on these people? Why did you send me? Why have I found no favor in your sight?
He was about to find out that this was only the opening move. What followed would not be a single dramatic miracle. It would be 10 rounds of a battle no one alive had ever seen. And Pharaoh had no idea what was coming. The Nile turned to blood. Frogs overran the land. Gnats, then swarms of flies. Egyptian livestock died of disease, while Israelite livestock was untouched. Boils broke out on the skin of Egyptians. Hail destroyed the crops still standing. Locusts devoured whatever the hail had spared. And then darkness. A darkness so thick, Scripture says, that it could be felt, covering Egypt for 3 days while the Israelites, in their own region of Goshen, had light. 9 plagues, 9 refusals. Egypt lay in ruins, and still the answer was no. There was one plague left, and this one wouldn't touch crops or rivers or livestock. It would come for something Pharaoh could never rebuild. God instructed the Israelites to take a lamb without defect, slaughter it, and paint its blood on the doorframes of their homes. On this night I will pass through Egypt and strike down every firstborn. But when I see the blood on the doorframes, I will pass over you. That night, in every Egyptian household without the blood on the door, including Pharaoh's own, the firstborn son died. In every household marked by the lamb's blood, death passed by. This single night is where the word Passover comes from, a ritual still kept today over 3,000 years later. Pharaoh, standing over the death of his own son, finally broke.
Up! Leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go, worship the Lord as you have requested.
After 400 years, the people of Israel walked free. Finally, freedom. Except Pharaoh's heart and his army weren't done chasing them yet. Freedom did not last a week before Pharaoh changed his mind. Scripture says his heart hardened once more, and he pursued the Israelites with 600 of Egypt's finest chariots. The people of Israel, camped near the Red Sea, looked up to see the army that had once enslaved them thundering toward them, with the sea blocking any escape. Would this be the end of the story before it had truly begun? Trapped between an army and the water, was there anywhere left to run? Moses turned and spoke to the people.
Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. We will surely die here.
Then, at God's command, Moses stretched his hand out over the sea, and the waters split. the Israelites walked through on dry ground, a wall of water on their right and their left. When the Egyptian army followed them into that same path, the waters returned, and the empire that had enslaved Israel for 4 centuries drowned in the same waters once used to drown Israel's own children. The people praised the Lord in joy. You'd think a people who had just watched a sea split apart to save them would never doubt God again. You'd be wrong. Within weeks, they were complaining of hunger, longing for the pots of meat they remembered in Egypt, forgetting the whip that came with them. They said to Moses and Aaron,
There is no food! We will die here in the wilderness!
God provided anyway, despite their murmurings. Bread from the sky called manna, water from solid rock, quail falling from the air. Along the way, Israel faced its first military threat as a free nation. The Amalekites attacked them at Rephidim. As long as Moses held his hands raised, with Aaron and Hur physically supporting his arms when he grew tired, Israel prevailed in battle. It was Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, who later visited the camp and gave him practical wisdom that still shapes leadership today. Appoint capable men to share the burden of leading, rather than trying to judge every dispute alone. Then Israel arrived at Mount Sinai, and here God did something no other nation's God had done. He gave his people a written law, delivered to Moses face to face over 40 days and nights on the mountain. The 10 Commandments and the instructions that would shape Israel's entire way of life.
I hear your words, my Lord. They are etched into this stone, as they are etched into my heart.
But 40 days is a long time to wait for a leader who has disappeared up a mountain. And waiting was never this people's strength.
How much longer must we wait? He has abandoned us up there. We should go back to Egypt.
And they turned to the one man left in charge, Aaron, Moses' own brother.
Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses, we don't know what has happened to him.
Aaron gave in. He collected their gold earrings, melted them down, and shaped them into a calf. The people who had watched a sea split in front of them now bowed before an idol built from their own jewelry. At the exact moment Moses was receiving God's law against idolatry, the people at the bottom of the mountain were breaking it. God told Moses what was happening below and threatened to destroy the entire nation and start over through him alone.
I will destroy them and make a greater nation from you alone.
No, my Lord, do not bring destruction upon your people.
Turn from your fierce anger. Relent.
And here Moses did something remarkable. He did not accept the offer. He pleaded on behalf of the very people who had just betrayed him. God relented. But Moses still had to walk down that mountain and face what was waiting for him with his own eyes. When Moses came down and saw the calf and the dancing, his anger burned. He threw the stone tablets to the ground, shattering them at the foot of the mountain. The law broken in stone, just as it had already been broken in the people's hearts. Judgment followed. But so, ultimately, did mercy. God renewed the covenant, and new tablets were cut to replace the ones Moses had broken. After the fury, after the judgment, after pleading for a people who had just turned their backs on the God who freed them, Moses did something no one before him had done. He asked for more.
Show me your glory. Let me see your face.
Not a sign, not a miracle to prove a point. Moses, the same man who had once hidden his face from a burning bush out of fear, was now asking to see God directly, fully, without concealment. God's answer was neither a yes nor a no. It was something in between, and it is one of the most important lines in the entire story.
You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live.
But there is a place near me where you may stand on a rock. When my glory passes by, I will put you in a cleft in the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will remove my hand, and you will see my back, but my face must not be seen.
Not full sight, not total revelation. A limit, placed there not out of cruelty, but because, the text makes clear, the full, unfiltered presence of God was more than a human body could survive. Would this be enough? Could a glimpse of God's back satisfy a man bold enough to ask for his face? So, Moses climbed the mountain one final time, carrying the new stone tablets he himself had cut. And there, in the cleft of the rock, hidden by the hand of God, he experienced something no human being before him ever had. As the glory passed by, a voice declared itself. Not a vision Moses had to piece together, but words God spoke over himself.
The Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness.
No one can see my face and live.
Moses did not see God's face. What he saw was the passing edge of glory, the way you might see sunlight without ever looking directly at the sun. It was not everything, but it was more than any person had received before, and more than Scripture records anyone receiving in that same way ever again. When Moses came back down the mountain, something in him had physically changed. His face was radiant, glowing with a light he wasn't even aware of, because he had spoken with the Lord. Aaron and the rest of the Israelites were afraid to come near him.
Look at his face. We can't come near him.
Moses had to wear a veil over his face when he spoke to the people, only removing it when he went back to speak with God. The man who once hid his own face out of fear now had to hide his face because of what it had touched. At the burning bush, Moses hid his face from God. On the mountain, God hid Moses' face from himself. And when Moses came down, the people had to hide from Moses' face. 3 concealments, 1 story. And at the center of it, the only recorded moment in the entire Hebrew Bible where a human being got this close to seeing God and lived to tell it. Moses led Israel for 40 more years through the wilderness, years marked by further rebellion, further provision, and further patience. He never entered the Promised Land himself. Because of an act of disobedience at the waters of Meribah, where he struck a rock in anger instead of speaking to it as God had commanded, God told Moses he would see the land, but not cross into it. At the very end of his life, Moses climbed one final mountain, Nebo, opposite Jericho, and God showed him the entire land of Canaan stretched out before him. "This is the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I have let you see it with your own eyes, but you will not cross over into it." Moses died there, on the mountain, at 120 years old, his eyes not weak, his strength not diminished. Scripture says God himself buried him, and to this day, no one knows his burial place. Since then, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. A man who began his life in a basket meant to carry him to his death, ended it on a mountain, having spoken with God as directly as any human being ever has, and still, even he did not receive everything he had been promised. Moral of the story: Moses spent 40 years running from a mistake he thought defined him. 40 years learning patience in a desert nobody else wanted, and 40 years leading a people who doubted him again and again. And yet he became the man who came closer to God's presence than anyone before him. The lesson is not that Moses was perfect. Scripture never pretends he was. He killed a man in anger. He argued with God. He struck a rock in frustration and paid for it with the one thing he wanted most. The lesson is that God did not wait for a perfect man to use. He used a fugitive with a stutter, a shepherd with a shameful past, a leader who doubted himself at every turn, because obedience mattered more than perfection. If you feel disqualified by your past or unequipped for what's in front of you, this story says otherwise. The question was never whether Moses was ready. It was only ever whether he would say yes and keep walking one impossible step at a time. Moses' story didn't end at that mountain. His successor, Joshua, still had a land to enter and battles ahead that Moses would never see. Let us know in the comments which story you'd like to see next, because there are so many more of these encounters still waiting to be told.
If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more animated Bible stories brought to life every week.